Yo, thank y'all for tuning in. Welcome to Lakers Central. We're going to discuss our recap of a winning time. I got a few of my brothers here on the show with me, OTR Mike, OTR Quan, and the Wallace Way, Dayoud. Uh, we love what we're seeing so far, right, fellas, from the show?
Yeah, I love it. We talked about the book like 5, 6 years ago. We love the book, and they really nailed it with the casting. And so far, in 2 episodes in, it's just a great show. HBO is just it kind of gives you chills in that intro when you hear the drum, like that just gives you chills like Sopranos, The Wire, Game of Thrones, and this is hopefully this could be right up there with those type of shows.
Yeah, I mean, look, just for the mere fact that it's on HBO, you already know that. You know what I mean? They're coming with fire, and for the mere fact that it's the Lakers, it's the whole origin of how it was built. You know what I mean? Like, seeing the players, and then just the whole history of it. You know, like it's. I mean, it's true events. So. And then on top of that, it's players that we know. It's players that, I mean, we didn't grow up around those players, but, we seen them play. We know them now in their elder years. So it's really good. It's a really good show. Second episode, I think was better actually than the first episode.
Yeah, yo, it's dope. I mean, I see why some of the players are mad. I'll just say that. You know what I'm saying? I see why they mad. I see why there's people not happy about it, but it's definitely engaging, and it has a perfect blend of like first person story. Like I love the way they're telling this story. It's dope as shit. To have that blend and then the storytelling beside it as well that shit is dope.
Yeah, you're right. The cinematography, the way it's shot, the way that first person, it's just a good, like you said, it's high quality show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, makes you feel like you're back like in that era.
Yes, yes. Like the fisheye lens. It's really good, really good.
Yeah, I think one of the good things about the show is it shows you that Dr. Buss was a visionary, because you see, I mean, the Lakers. People look back at basketball history now and look at the Lakers as one of the pillars of the NBA. It's one of the most successful franchises in all the sports. But when they were in Minneapolis, they won 5 championships with the great George Mikan, and they moved to LA eventually. But in between that stint in Minneapolis and getting to LA, the Boston Celtics dominate basketball. And Red Auerbach is the end all be all. And you see that play out in this episode when Jerry Buss, he buys a team in episode 1. In episode 2, he goes to his first owners meeting, and he's the new kid on the block. And Red Auerbach isn't impressed by him. He's this young guy. He's a billionaire. Well, not at the time he wasn't a billionaire, but he's a multi-millionaire. He's trying to make the Lakers into a Celtic rival, which at that point they weren't. And one of the wonderful things is Jerry Buss realizes that the Lakers are in LA. They can be bigger than basketball, even before they were winning the way that we see them win, now. So I love the guy playing Jerry Buss, like his character. He's funny. I mean, he's very different than all those other NBA owners at the time.
Bingo. Yep. Yeah. Like you said, and when they went to that NBA owners meeting, you saw, in a sense, the good old boy network. And that's what it was. It was those old timers. And this was 1979. So this was talking like 40 plus years ago. These guys, I'm not saying they cared about basketball or even the entertainment aspect. It was just a check for them. And in a way, you can almost compare that to the way NFL is today, where it's a legitimate, to get in that organization, to get into the ownership of the NFL, it ain't about the money at that point. They all got billions, right? But it's like a gang. It's a crew. And to get in there takes so much to get into. Some of those companies in the NFL, I mean, those owners, they've been around since like 1905? I mean, like, so you saw Jerry Buss, like you said, entering into a whole new club. And a lot of them probably didn't either they didn't know him or they didn't really like his whole newness to it.
Yeah, I agree. You could even tell in the episode with Red and Dr. Bus got together. You could tell it was kind of a standoff. It was kind of like the freshman versus the senior. That's been around. He had a dynasty. And with Boston, so he won. He Red was around. He knew what time it was, and so Dr. Bus was the new kid on the block, but. He was trying to school him at the same time. He was trying to tell him, like, you can't buy championships. We win championships. And if you also notice that he was saying, like, winning to him was, it wasn't like a want. It was like it was a need. Like, he can't get up unless he has to win. You know what I mean? Like, so, but you also saw that, Dr. Bus was hungry, you know what I mean? And he was young up and coming, he had a vision and he stuck with the goal. He already knew what time it was that if he could get the team that he needed, the players that he needed and get everything going like he has to, he was going to win dynasties. He was, he was going to win chips after chips after chips. And we all seen it manifest now. So
11 championships later. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it was like you said, it's the good old boy network, right? So here's a new dude coming in. He's not like them. You know what I mean? I'm assuming he was one of the younger owners at the time. And then you got Red Auerbach, who they called the Pope, right?
Right,
so,
right.
That's the dude. So everybody bow down to him. And then here's this new guy that's I mean, in a sense, what Red was kind of trying to show him, like, yo, again, like you said, Quan, you can't buy championships, but like, you come in flashy, Bus throwing around, the chicks. Hey guys, I'm gonna show y'all a good time. Y'all in LA, we're gonna have a good time. And that wasn't something that Red was about, right? As it showed later.
Boston didn't. To this day, I don't even know if they have dancers.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and that showed later in the episode where it was like, yo, I'm trying to get your players, bro. Like, what I'm saying? I'm not worried about what you can, what you can show me. So he was schooling them in a sense to that, like, yo, y'all gotta, like he said in that moment, yo, y'all go have fun, go get your rocks off, yo, I got a team to run. You know what I mean? So, but then again, at the same time, it was that new, and it's like, I mean, for lack of a better example, but like when Mark Cuban came in the league.
Bingo. That's exactly what I was thinking. When Hughes came in, he was such a breath of fresh air.
It was different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it was just
very brash, very vocal. But trying to piggyback in Mike, Jonah Hill, one of our favorite actors growing up, super bad, playing the Judd Apatow movies. He directed this episode.
Yeah.
So that was like this is such a well done product. Like, you don't even have to screw the Lakers, screw basketball. It's entertaining. It's well done. You know what I mean? And that's why I think it's really going to cross over and become really like must see TV type thing.
I think episode 1 was better though, so far. So far, it was, both were good. But I just think that, I don't know. It was more, I guess it was more interesting to see the start of him acquiring the team.
Yeah.
Magic, coming to the team and his decision on if he wanted to go back to school and things like that. So, I mean, learn a little bit more about Jerry West is interesting too from this episode. Even in the last, like, I mean, who knew he was such an angry? Who knew he was an angry dude like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, every time you see Jerry West on TV, he just like, he's so chill. But to come to find out that he was just this angry, and then I think this episode showed that he was depressed as well. So
yeah, I think I was reading something, some articles. I think he's been dealing with depression for like 50, however long he's been. He's like a manic depressant. So I think that maybe has added to his mystique. Because, like you said, when we see him at the games or back in the day, he looked so uneasy and so like he lived and died with every play. And it's like, yeah, it's 1,000 plays a year, bro. Like, this is gonna kill you if you keep doing this. So,
yeah. Well, see, watching the show, I wonder if the reason why his manic depressive states was because of him losing all those championships. Like, I really wonder about that. Like, which is like you said, like I never knew that he was that angry. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I think the losses to Boston, he lost like 10 times to Boston, but I mean, they flash back to his growing up in West Virginia. His father was clearly abusive. Like, he grew up hard, you know, so you come from Jerry West had to grow up what, the 30s, I would assume, late 20s, late 30s, given how old he is. So you grew up with a father that's hard. At least the show depicts him as being abusive. It's a rough, rough way to grow up. But I mean, we can talk basketball on regular Lakers Central. Let's talk about the womanizing, because I mean the show the show is clearly going treading on the womanizing, and whether it's Magic or it's Dr. Buss. I mean, these dudes is getting. I mean, Dr. Buss said he had the keys to the Playboy Mansion. I mean, the one chick he said closes more deals than the attorneys.
Yeah.
I mean,
was that Arn? Was that Arn tell him?
It must be. I thought it was Arn
Yeah.
Tellum. Yeah,
Okay.
that was Arn Tellum. Yeah.
Yeah, I know these cats are hot.
They're so mad. You can't imagine how mad. Like, imagine Magic's watching this with Cookie right there, and he's like, "Shit."
I mean, he was getting busy outside the church.
Yeah,
that was wild. That was wild.
Hands. He was laying those hands.
That's the thing about it. It's like I wonder. I know all the players are probably just like kind of freaking out about this, but particularly the situation with Magic and like how they portray him. You know what I'm saying? And in these particular episodes, like, I just know he had.
I mean, to be honest though, like, the way they're portraying Magic is the least surprising to me. Like,
so far,
yeah,
busting the joint in the church before going.
Well, I'm saying, when you hear the stories of like, he would be in the next room while they having a team meeting with 30 girls, like, clearly he was, into the ladies, right? And because of that, like, I'm not surprised at what I'm seeing, and I think, people watch. I'm sure Cookie's not either, right? You know what I'm saying?
But I mean, if she lived it, they can't be surprised,
right? But
it's just seeing is believing, right? Like, now you're in front of 200, whatever, 5-6 million people, and it's like rehashing stuff that happened 40 years ago. And this guy's got a family. He's a quadruple billion. But nevertheless, your reputation is everything. And is this the reputation that he really wants?
I mean, you're allowed to grow up. That that was him in the 80s and 90s. Magic is clearly a different man now. So, you do stupid stuff. Look, he was given $500,000 in 1979. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he was in LA.
Don't worry. He would have been doing this if he was in Detroit too.
He's a kind of
his name is man. He's charming. He's like you said, the womanizing, and another thing that jumps out to me when I see these old timepieces, the amount of drinking and smoking they were doing.
Oh, all day. I was thinking that.
We at the restaurant, right? Red just got a cigar. Right? And literally, you can't smoke a cigar in where I live, like 300 feet from a park. Like, you just can't smoke it.
But the funny part is, like, we all remember when people took smoke breaks and you could smoke inside buildings. It wasn't that long ago,
right?
I mean,
it's just but the amount, like,
waking up and drinking a bourbon for breakfast.
You don't want no apple juice, no orange juice,
no cranberry juice.
You want this. The mom was like, "Yeah, pour me a bourbon." And so, like, it was just. I see these pieces, and it just amazes me the amount of smoking and drinking that people were doing in the 70s, 80s, and even further back. Like, it was just part of like drinking a bottle of water. It was just like, I'm just gonna poured some liquor or something.
Yeah.
No, the thing about Red Auerbach too. He's a DC legend, so we respect Red too. Arnold, we love Red. He's a great guy, and he's a DC legend too.
Phil Jackson don't rock with him.
Phil doesn't rock with anybody except Genie. He hates everybody.
So I mean, and watching that,
Mhm.
I put this down in my notes. I wanted to ask y'all, like, yo, were they insinuating that Red kind of cheated his way through? Not fully, but like, I mean,
What do you mean cheated his way through? What do you mean?
like, or bullied his way through? Well, we know he bullied his way through,
Sure,
but when he approached Bus, like, hey, yo, I don't think you could do it, but you got players I want. So let's work it out that way. Send me some of your players. So it seemed like, you know, just that Dr. Bus was the one that wouldn't do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the way all the other owners looked at him, or the way they portrayed that the other owners looked at Red at that time, like, it seemed like he was getting what he wanted.
Oh, he ran the league with an iron fist. Like,
So that's what I'm saying.
Some of the moves he would make. Like, I remember they got Robert Parrish, a Hall of Fame top 75 player, for like a 7th round draft pick.
So that's
like,
what I'm saying. Like, was this pointing out that Red, I don't want to say cheated, but I can't think of a better word to put there. But
cut
like,
corners to get players.
I mean, not even to get to get players, yeah, but to get his success. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, Dr. Bus was the one that was like, yo, nah, I'm not doing that. But how many other meetings I'm sure that he had with other owners the same way? Like, yo, listen, you're not cut out for this, right? Like, winning is something that I need to do. So instead of, you asking me for advice how to win, check this out. Send me your players. You got some players that I like. Send me some players to help me get to what I want to do. So it just seems like, again, I don't want to say cheat, but it seems like it insinuated that Red was doing some shady shit to get to his success at the time.
I think he was. I think he was a bully, and I think that he mentions that we had seen these real estate types come in and buy teams, and they're really all about the bottom line. And I think he treated a lot of these owners, basically like they get into this business, they don't realize what it's going to cost, and he used that against them to get players from them that maybe they weren't ready to spend the money on. Because even back then, how do you get 5 and 6 Hall of Famers on one squad? I mean, I don't know what the salary cap thing. I don't even know if there was a salary cap back when Red was coaching or when he was the GM of the Celtics, but it seems absurd that he was able to get so many great players. So I think he was pulling moves. I mean, they were legal, I would assume, but he was clearly at that time in 1979 or 78 when this thing picks up, he's the most powerful man in basketball because you see David Stern, and I mean, he looks like a weakling at that point.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
I mean, I took from that scene that it was kind of like, yeah, it was legal, but it was some like it was gone about in a shady halfway illegal way. Like, bully these dudes to give you the players that they want just to be in your good graces to a certain extent. You know what I mean? And it just that Bus was the one that was like, yo, nah. You know what I mean? I ain't doing that. I am going to beat you at your game. You know what I mean? And I don't know, not to diminish, and I don't need any Red Auerbach like I don't need the fans coming at my neck. I'm just saying
Bill Simmons gonna come at your neck, boy.
Yeah, that's kind of what I took from that scene though. Like with him asking that, it was just, I don't know.
No, I think he made valid points, man. I think it's Red Auerbach. Like, he damn near invented the whole game of stealing players and kind of getting, just like Hollis said. Like, I mean, how do you get Larry Bird, Kevin McHale? Like how do you don't? That's tough to do in any era of basketball. But he just, I
think what Red. No, I think what Red did work for that time period, but once you get to maybe a more modern, once you get to post Michael Jordan, I mean, there's a reason why the Celtics have won championship since 1986. Like whatever Red did, I know he's passed on now, but just that they won in a time where the league had less talent, man. I mean, he had the great
You
Bill
think they had
Russell.
less
Obviously.
talent, or they had more concentrated talent?
I think it was more concentrated, but I still think it was less talent. There was less teams in the NBA. I mean, of that time period, who do you remember? Bill Russell, Wilt, Jerry West. I mean, Moses, Kareem, obviously. But they had like 6 Hall of Famers on one team. Like people complain now if you have 3 superstars, but they had 6 Hall of Famers on one team.
Red said, "I'm stacking this shit. Listen, I don't care who out there."
He stayed with that cigar in his mouth too.
He was just the yeah, he's Red Auerbach. Great name. But no, it's interesting you mentioned David Stern. Like he was, like you said, back then he was almost like a flunky, he was up and coming, and I think
because he wasn't commissioner yet.
Right. I think he was commissioner 84-ish. I think,
yep,
some time. And it's so funny because I was watching the Orlando Magic 30 for 30 with the Penny and Shaq one, and the way he ruled the NBA was just like he had everything locked down. And that's one thing about Silver. Adam Silver is a really nice guy, and I'm sure he's very competent. But David Stern was just a monster, man. That guy was insane.
Well, he was a good businessman.
Yeah.
But he wanted the league to be his way.
Yes.
And he had an idea of what he thought that looked like. Mm-hmm. And to get that, he had things.
If you got in his way, you was
Yeah. I mean, for somebody like you said, who in this scene who looked like a weasel, he had some, monster ways, like you said, about him.
Yes, he did.
As he became the commissioner of the league. So
I mean, some say he fixed the Ewing draft.
Those are the frozen envelopes. Hey, come rain or shine, Ewing going to New York, all right?
I just can't. I can't imagine, right, the amount of shadiness that was going on, and that still goes on, right?
Oh, yeah.
But like back then, like when they did the lottery back then, like it was a coin flip on a phone call. Like, I got everybody. All right, anybody got a coin? Like, I mean, how many times could that coin would have been flipped or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it was just a wild time. Like you said, now you couldn't do some of that stuff, but back in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, it was crazy. Question, fellas, what was your guys' take on Mama Magic or Miss Johnson, I should say?
She seemed to be very, God-fearing, or religious, and she expected Magic to behave in a certain way, and that was that. I feel like her and his father, like as a couple, they balance each other out a little bit. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, old school, grew up in the church, woman of the cloth, like, and expected, her son to live by those ways. And, like typically women like that, right? Or people who grew up like that didn't believe so much in what is considered to be fast money or the fast life, right? And the NBA at that time was just that, like, you about to go to LA, you about to make all this money, like, it's just not what we expected, even though, it's just not what they thought would turn out to be. But it's interesting. And I even thought further ahead, like, watching it and seeing how she is, right? Then thinking further ahead to what eventually happened with Magic, right? And then even further, like what eventually, turned out to be Magic's kids, right? And how people like that in that time period who grew up in the church didn't believe certain things. So I just wondered, it made me think of like how she reacted, how she would react later in life on some of the things that went on and transpired in Magic's life later on.
Yeah, she was a very complex person. I think there's no doubt that she loved him, but just because you love someone doesn't necessarily mean you like what they do or how they go about things. And she just seemed very I don't know. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of Mama Magic portrayal in this thing. I mean, I'm sure she's a beautiful lady. I think that I think that I don't know. I got that like. Well, let's juxtapose this from our story this week on the Mr. West episode 3, which is out there. You guys subscribe and listen to it on Off the Record. Mama West and Mama Magic, they're very contrasting, right? Where Mama West literally said, you know what, my son has an interest in a hobby. I'm actually going to buy him equipment. I'm actually going to seek out help so he can learn in this what his passion is. Mama Magic, my son's passion is basketball. He's extremely good at it. He's a world-class athlete, an NCAA superstar. But I'm still going to like try to demean him and try to control him on what I want to project on him. I didn't like that. I mean, it's different styles. So how you figure this out, and you know, I didn't like the way that portrayal was.
Well, I think one, it's, you know, it's fair to point out there's a 20-year difference when Magic was becoming Magic and Kanye went into hip hop. So parents very, very different. And I enjoyed when her and Magic's father kind of had their one-on-one, and he was like, hey, remember when you and I were young doing our thing? And like kind of reminded her like, look, you know, we have expectations, you know, but this is his life. And you want your children to live the way that they need to live. You know, and I think kids should be respectful of their parents and all those different things. I would imagine, you know, the behavior that we're seeing Magic, at least the behavior we're seeing portrayed on Winning Time by Magic early on, is simply a precursor to what happens to him later on in life in the early 90s, right? Like, look, man, I don't know if they were wearing condoms back then. You know, I know they were around, but whether or not they were wearing them or not, they probably weren't, right? And you sleeping with that many women over a 10-year time period, I mean, Jesus, man. He's lucky to still be alive. That's how I look at it. Like, and he's apparently, you know, to be healthy at that, like, that's crazy. But look, man, his mom, look, your parents know you. Mom Dukes knows who you are. And I think more than anything, she knew Magic was out there. I mean, I think everybody knew he was running around. If he's running around in Detroit, you get to LA. I mean, my God. So she just expected him to behave a certain way. And, you know, most parents do.
Yeah. And I'm like I said, I don't dispute the mad love in between all of them. It's just kind of a different approach of how she was doing it. And but you know, like you said, that makes good TV. I thought her portrayal was nice. I thought the dad's portrayal was good. I like Cookie's character. Cookie is a damn good actress, and I think she's nailing like that whole complex relationship that Magic and Cookie have.
It was definitely complex. I mean, Magic was running the streets, man, and I think that she, at least the way it's portrayed in the show, she really loved him early on. But she probably knew also that, you know, Magic had a wandering eye or whatever it was, and obviously he did. Right? We know
probably more than just an eye at this point.
Yeah, he was out there. He was out there. Like, well, what did y'all think of Kareem's portrayal?
Yeah. Kareem seemed like he was kind of like, you know what I'm saying, black militant. You know what I'm saying? Like he was on it. Like, you know, even the when Jerry West came over there to talk to him, to give him the news that, you know, he was going to put Magic at power forward. He was reading, you know what I'm saying, reading the book, meditating. Like he was like the sensei, or, you know what I'm saying, on Kung Fu. And I was like, okay, all right. Like Like, I mean, he ain't doing anything else, but like he ain't cooking no burgers on the grill or nothing. All right, but
No, Kareem is I mean, the cast of characters in this like whole Lakers dynasty is just everyone is so different, and everyone like got their own thing. Like Kareem, like you said, literally was out there meditating, reading, in the daishiki joint. Like it was so. I think he probably still. I'm not saying he's 80 now, but so he might physically can't do that, but he's still very intellectually driven and studious. I think that hurts him in the greatest player debate. Actually, as weird as that is, being smart, aware has hurt him in the greatest player debate because, like you said, resume wise, there's no one that has a better resume than him. You know, but my brother's wild.
Let's just be real. Like, how shocked were we when you saw he was seeing a white woman?
Yeah, I had no idea.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean,
I had no idea either. I was definitely shocked.
The Kareem doc is on it's on HBO Max.
But he wasn't married to her though, right?
I don't know.
I think she was after his marriage. Once he got
after
divorced,
right because he got right because remember he had a big fire in LA. I don't know what time this was, but like his house burned down, and that's the reason that he played all those extra years too. Because
his house burned down in DC. It was his DC house, I believe, that burned down.
No. The one in DC, that's the one those people went in and shot up the place.
I thought, yeah.
In LA, maybe in the mid 80s, he had his house burned down and he had like an insane jazz collection of vinyls. And he lost all of it. And he had to play like 2 extra seasons because of it. You know, he needed that dough. Great guy, great player, just a weird cat, man. Weird cat.
It is funny to see them like, and I mean, as of right now, like, yo, the who they have playing these people are spot on.
Yeah.
Like, it's perfect. Even the guy that's playing Magic in this episode started looking more like Magic to me. You know what I mean? Like the first episode, I was like looking at, as a matter of fact, in the first episode when he was in the doctor's office in the beginning and he was looking at the Ebony magazine with Michael on it. He looked more like somebody that's closer to Michael than Magic at first. But now in this episode, he's starting to look like Magic. So
yeah, no doubt. With the like the beard and the joint lined up. No shape up, we just gonna go crazy with it. How do you feel about Magic coming to the park flexing in the Benz, the drop top Benz?
I thought
that's something you would do though. I seen you do that when you pulled up in the 300. Don't front.
Nah. I thought it was a little lame. Like, I mean, I thought it was lame, but I also, somebody that's 19 with that type of money, like that's what you're gonna do.
They're gonna act a fool.
I thought the lame part was him like jumping in the game like that and like challenging this dude. Like, yo, you're Magic Johnson. Like,
yo, you the number 1 pick, yo. I'm not better than you.
Yeah,
cool?
It's like it's just not even. So like, it's not even close to what you're about to do to me on the court. Like, of course, like you telling me I'm about to kick your ass. Yes, you are. You're Magic Johnson.
Yes, you are. Right.
So that standpoint was like, all right, bro. But like, I understand the flex. Like, 19, 500K in your pocket. You know what I mean? Like,
and maybe that showed the insecurities that he did have.
Yeah.
You know, why he is Magic Johnson and he's getting all his accolades. Maybe he does have fear and insecurities like all of us do.
Well, I think it was that the fact that, and at least the way they portraying it is that Cookie, you would typically, and he even said it, like, yo, I'm about to be in the NBA, about to be in LA with all of this money, and like you're walking away.
Right.
Like, everybody wants a piece of Magic, but you're walking away. And I think it's that idea of not having what you want, and then somebody telling you like, yo, yeah, you're Irvin to me. Like, you're not Magic. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's funny, it's funny because I always ask myself, like, does Beyonce call Jay-Z Sean or does she call him Jay-Z?
I think she calls him Sean.
She
I think she
probably-
calls him Jay.
Yeah, she probably call him Jay.
Now, but think about that though, Alex. So you call me by a damn stage name. Like that's not my name. It's not the name my mama gave me. I don't know. That's weird. And wouldn't that be weird in a way?
I mean, I you know, they met when they met. You know, Jay was Jay.
Right.
Like, but Cookie calls Magic Irving.
Right, because they grew up together.
Right.
But like, so I mean, like, okay, who's somebody? Okay, do you think Hulk Hogan's wife called him Hulk Hogan?
I'm sure she called him Terry. I would have.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you start to call people like what they like their stage name, even if you like married to them or their family. Like, does Jay-Z's sister call him Sean or Jay-Z?
I'm sure he called him Sean.
Fair.
And I think most these celebrities, you know, behind closed doors, their spouses call them by their real names, especially, you know, longer term relationships. So,
yeah. I mean, he bought into it. I'm Magic. Everybody wants some magic. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I do think that, again, the way it's being portrayed, you know, it is well. The story is flowing well. It's just that he thinks that I think she was what he felt he couldn't have. You know what I'm saying? Like he had everything. I mean, all these other women throwing themselves at him. I mean, like, yo, he in the Brown Hornet, you know what I mean, outside on the church ground doing his thing. Like,
when he put that money in Yo's pocket, I was just mad. Like, I'm just going like, that was very disrespectful. Very disrespectful.
He was flossing, and I seen you do that before.
Oh, I might drop a G on nobody. I don't care. Take it. I don't care. So where do you see next week's episode going? Now that we know Jerry West resigned, and I think Paul Westhead comes in, right? No, not Paul Westhead. Another coach comes in who gets in a bike accident, right, Holler?
it was yeah. Who got no
was it
yeah,
it's like a triple name, like
got in a really bad
something,
really bad accident. I mean, he ended up living through it,
right.
But he ends up not being able to coach, and then Westpaw comes back. Wait a minute.
Yeah, Westhead comes in and they win the championship, and then in 2 years, Magic gets him fired, and then that's when Riley comes in.
Right. So West has to come back at some point.
No. I don't think he comes back. I don't think he ever comes back.
Well, remember, so Jerry Buss eventually announces that West is going to coach, and then West at the press conference basically says, no, Pat Riley's going to coach.
Right. You're right. Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know how they're going to show that.
It's just so weird now. Like in coaching nowadays, it's like these. We're going to hire a firm to do a search, and it's like Jerry Buss was like, "Nah, yo, you got to do it."
Yeah. And it's first of all, it's hard to tell which way. Just the way that they did these first 2 episodes, it's hard to tell which way they're gonna go. Which I think is the beauty of it. Like, you know, I don't know what I was expecting this week, but I wasn't expecting it to be kind of Jerry West heavy. You know what I mean?
Yes. Good point.
So which was cool because it was just the unexpected. But I don't know, man. Like, I don't know where they could go from there. I mean, you think about how far ahead they can jump. I don't know. But it's just dope because it seems like everything is in the beginning stages at the moment. Like, he's just trying to get the front office together, trying to get everything going. You know, he just lost his coach. You know, willing to spend a little bit of money, trying to build this team. So it's just, I don't know, man.
It's great. Like, it's fun to write. Now it's funny because they mentioned Jerry West said, "I need Spencer Haywood," which I think they eventually do get. But I did some research on Spencer Haywood, and I knew about this before. This guy was so coked up in the 80s. So coked up. Listen to this shit. He hired a hitman to kill the coach.
Well, that's what they. So that's who Jerry West always want. Remember when he said he wanted them from the beginning
Right,
when they
right.
was on the golf course, and he was like,
I need Spencer Hayward. Yeah.
somebody was like, bro, he's high.
Didn't know West said he wanted Sidney Moncrief, didn't he?
Well, he said
He wanted to
him
draft Sidney
him.
Moncrief
Yeah.
over Magic.
Yeah.
But he said he needed Spencer Hayward, and he mentioned him in this episode also.
Yeah.
So Spencer Hayward is coming, and if the story is true that he was so coked up that he hired a hitman to kill the coach, this series is going like out of here.
So you guys are a little more connected to the Lakers than I am, right? Has any of the players spoke out about this show so far?
Yeah, I believe so. I think Kareem has.
Yeah, Kareem Magic hates it. Magic is Magic and Jeannie Buss said Magic's got a doc coming on Apple TV, right?
A 4-part series. Yep.
Yeah,
and the Lakers Jeannie's got something coming out on Showtime.
On Showtime, yes, yeah. In fact, let me get one of y'all Apple TV so I can Yeah, the players are pissed, and you would I'm sure Jerry West's family's pissed.
But it's a dramatization. Like they make it, they say it on the show.
Yeah.
At the beginning or whatever. Like, look, they took some liberties. But I mean, from what we know of that time period, some of it seems on brand. It just seems like that's probably what was going down.
So was it the same backlash with this book? I've heard y'all talk about the book before. So were the players just as upset about the book?
Well, the book been out for a minute.
Yeah, the book's been out for like 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And who reads a 600-page book, right?
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago he released the Shaq Kobe Lakers. So the sequel to the 3-ring circus, to Winning Time, basically.
And they also Adam McKay and Will Ferrell, they optioned that book too. So in a couple years, I think we'll be getting the Shaq and Kobe 3-ring circus series, which will just be
that one. That'll be bananas.
That's one, because that is, this one happened in 1979, so that's 40 years ago. So there's a whole segment of NBA fans that probably have no damn idea about this. Hell, we don't even know about it. We weren't even born when this came out. So, but that 2000 Shaq and Kobe, that's going to cover every sector, the old fans, the new fans. That's going to be massive.
I hope it's just not a race to get this shit out because Magic wants to get ahead of this, or Jeannie wants to get something out because of this story being on. I hope it's not a race to where they rush this type of stuff. I mean, again, I opened the show up. I understand them being mad. I can understand why they upset if they ain't signed off on this, right? Mm-hmm. Because you do see some things, but for the most part, outside of the womanizing part, I think Dr. Buck,
that's kind of a lot.
I mean, it is, but I'm just saying, to me, what I've learned about Dr. Buss and seeing this is that, he seemed like he was actually cool.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, and humble to a certain degree because of where he came from.
Yeah.
So just the way he handled the whole Magic thing, coming to town and trying to convince him to stay in the draft, I don't know. He just can't. I don't know. I have a different outlook on him from that standpoint. I mean, I know the old Jerry Buss, so I'm thinking of the old Buss where he was just kind of sitting up there in the stands and just just looking like a stickler, kind of like David Stern, how David Stern came off at first,
at that point,
weasel.
Yeah, at that point, Jerry Buss was actually the old owners that he came into the room with,
right.
But he still always had a few 18-year-old females around him. That's that never left his side.
Well, he's his kids like Jesse and Joey are 20 years younger than Jeannie.
I say they're pretty young, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So he was out there, man. He was out there. But when you're a billionaire at that time period, and look, these team owners still do that kind of stuff. They may try and keep it more secretive than what you might have done in the 70s and 80s, but they out there doing stuff.
How crazy was it the way they portrayed Donald Sterling when he met Magic at the party? Yo, he was like, "Oh,
I was feeling him.
you got
No,
a
you mean
strong one.
Down Straight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got a strong one here." Like, and he wasn't even an owner then.
No, I know.
Nah.
He's just his boy, really. You know, that's my
Yeah.
boy. We talked about this last week. Donald
Yep.
Sterling, man, he was wild.
Yeah,
He's wild.
clearly, and a weirdo, clearly.
Clearly.
But I will say this: I like the way it portrays, Dr. Bus, and it shows his vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
That part of it, like what he wanted to build the Lakers into being, and it showed that he had that vision early on, and it was a little different thinking than everybody else. Like, yo, you know what? I want to build the Lakers this, but I also want to build the Forum into being an entertainment haven. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
yo, book this joint out 365. You know what I'm saying? And like just to have that thought process at that time, at that time frame when it was some things that wasn't heard. I mean, like you would hear a concert or two being in an arena like that, but
he wanted that thing booked.
Yeah, he wanted to go ahead and get that thing, squared away. So it was dope to see that side of it too.
Well, I think, from an off the court or off the field perspective, Jerry Buss is one of the most important figures in all of North American sports, modern day, like his impact on what sports has become. And I think like Jerry Jones down in Dallas, I think some of these owners, they see sports as bigger than just wins and losses.
Yep.
They see it as competing with music and other avenues. And I mean, look, Jerry Buss paid $20 million in the 70s for the team, and now it's worth $5.5 billion. I mean, that's a hell of a come up. I mean, but it just didn't happen overnight. Like, nowadays people think, well, your team is in LA, it's in LA, you're straight. But the Clippers were there for 30 years and no one paid attention to them. People rarely pay attention to them now. But even back then, the Lakers weren't this glamorous franchise, but 11 championships later under Jerry Buss, and now, they're iconic. So
like you said, they're you don't even have to like basketball to like the Lakers or to understand what they symbolize. And that's that's the whole point. It's like the Cowboys. I don't know what a fourth down is from, but they still have the Crown Prince of Saudi on the sidelines. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? It's bigger than wins and losses, rushing yards, 3-pointers. And it's a brilliant story. I look forward to week 3. I love these recaps with you guys. And I think it's going to be an all-timer show. I really do. I think they could squeeze out 3 seasons of this. Because this season, I think, is just 1979, 1980 when they win the championship. But, I mean, shit, you could go all the way up until when Magic has to retire. I mean, because that literally was the end of Showtime in a nutshell.
Yeah. So this is what? This is 10 episodes, right?
That I don't know.
I think I saw that it was a
10-parter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of, I think reading that kind of put me in mind of like when we was doing the Michael Jordan joint. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just like waiting and seeing what's going to come out of that. I mean, obviously this is told it a little different. That was more of a documentary.
But it was that Last Dance. It hit at the right time because that was like the start of the pandemic.
Yeah,
Cats literally had nothing. Like, there was no sports. There was no new TV shows.
Yeah,
we were waiting for the Last Dance. Like, it was insane.
Yeah.
Now, a question, fellas, does the NBA back this, Doc, or is the NBA? I thought they were beefing with them a little bit.
I don't think the NBA has anything to do with it.
No, but remember the NBA said they were mad that they used some NBA logos.
Did they?
Oh, they did. They did use. Well, they did point out in the first episode how Jerry West became the logo.
Yes, that's yeah. And it's funny because the NBA, I mean, they haven't said anything. I mean, I guess I don't know if they've released a statement on it, but they don't seem to be like in bed with it. It's weird. Like a lot of the
Bro,
old.
it's probably so much shit about to come out that
Yeah.
they're not gonna
Yeah.
get in bed with this, yo.
Yeah.
Like they can't. I mean, if the players aren't, like the NBA definitely not gonna get behind this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely not. But maybe you guys know this too, which is though was interesting. Like as Alex said, it starts to show off by saying, some of the parts are, you know, it based off of true situations, but
We dramatized it.
they dramatize it a little bit.
Right. Right.
Like, and it says some names of characters are changed or whatever. Like, so how can they use certain names and then what names can they? You know what I'm saying? Like, how can they use people like David Stern, Derry Buss, Jeannie Buss, like people that aren't happy with the situation, Magic, like how are they able to still continue to use their name in this show?
That's a good question.
Like, how does that work? I mean, I know they said that they would change some names,
but are they public? If you're a public figure, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're like you're a public figure. You're not. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think the public figure part of it, and they got good lawyers. HBO is not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? HBO's not going to have you.
Yeah,
you're not going to sue us because y'all don't like it. You just going to have to come out and say, "Yo, I don't like it," and that's fine.
Right.
We're still going to watch it every Sunday. I love it.
It's a dope show, man. I'm looking forward to next week and whatever direction they decide to go in.
Yeah.
I guess. Huh?
I said I don't know, bro. It'll be and it's good that they don't do like how The Wire and like these other shows do now, where they give a fast forward to the next week, a few highlights of it or whatever. I'm glad that they don't do this on that.
Yeah.
Keep you waiting, keep you
and it's glad they don't binge it neither. See, our viewing habits have changed, even pre-pandemic. We like to binge our shit, right? Like now we literally have to wait every week, and that builds up. So Sunday night, you're like, yeah, bet we're watching it. So I don't know.
Well, we'll be back for the recap next week, and let's see what direction it goes in, man. Appreciate y'all joining me this evening.
We'll have a good night.
We'll work on Quan's dial up too.
I don't know, man. My God. All right, we out.
Peace.